It was a cold winter evening. The sky was turning dark, and the streetlights began to glow one by one. Zara walked slowly down the quiet street after finishing her long shift at the bakery. Her hands were cold, and her feet were tired. She wrapped her scarf tighter around her neck and kept walking. Suddenly, she stopped. She thought she heard something. A sound, soft and weak. It was like a cry. She turned her head and looked around. The street was empty, only parked cars and closed shops. She walked a little more. There it was again, a soft cry, like a baby's. Zara's heart began to beat faster. She followed the sound. It was coming from the parking lot beside the grocery store. The lot was half empty. Some cars stood alone in the dark, their windows fogged up from the cold. Then she heard it again. This time it was clear, a baby's cry. Muffled, weak, but real. Zara rushed between the cars, looking at each one. Then she saw it, a small blue car. The sound was coming from inside. The windows were cloudy, but she could see a baby seat in the back. A tiny shape moved inside it. Zara's eyes widened. She stepped closer and pressed her face to the window. Inside, a baby, no more than a few months old, was crying. His little face was red, his eyes full of tears. He was alone. There was no adult inside the car, no one in the front seat, no sign of food, milk, or blankets. The baby was shivering. Zara pulled on the car door. Locked. She ran around the car, trying each door. All locked. Her breath became quick. She looked around again. No one. Just silence, streetlights, and wind. She didn't know what to do. Her phone was in her pocket. She pulled it out, but her hands were shaking. Just then, she heard footsteps. A man was walking toward her from across the parking lot. He wore a dark jacket and a cap. He looked surprised to see Zara near the car. Zara stood still. The man walked faster. "What are you doing?" he asked, his voice low. "There's a baby in the car," Zara replied, pointing. "He's alone, crying." The man looked at the car, and then quickly looked away. "It's my niece. I just went inside for a minute. Everything is fine." Zara didn't believe him. Something about his eyes, the way he avoided her gaze. "Then open the door," she said. I forgot the keys," he replied. "I'll go get them." He turned around, but Zara stepped in front of him. "I'm calling the police," she said firmly. The man's face changed. His calm expression turned angry. "Don't do that," he said. "It's not your business." Zara's heart pounded. She quickly dialed the number, but before she could speak, the man pushed past her and ran. "Hey," she shouted, but he was already gone, disappearing into the night. She told the police everything. Within minutes, a patrol car arrived. The officers checked the car. One of them broke the window carefully and took the baby out. The baby was weak. His lips were dry, his hands cold like ice. "He needs a hospital," the officer said. Zara watched as they wrapped the baby in a blanket and rushed him away. She stood there in shock, her eyes wet. So many questions filled her mind. Who was that man? Why was the baby left alone? And why did no one else hear those cries? As the police left, one officer turned to her. "You may have saved this child's life," he said. Zara didn't feel like a hero. She only felt one thing, that this was not the end of the story. It was just the beginning. Zara could not stop thinking about the baby. All night, she couldn't sleep. Her mind kept returning to that cold little face, the baby's red eyes, and the moment the man ran away. She kept hearing the cries in her ears like they were still happening. The next morning, she took a bus to the nearby hospital. She didn't know if visitors were allowed, but she had to try. She needed to know if the baby was safe. At the hospital reception, she spoke gently. "Yesterday, a baby was brought here, left alone in a car. I was the one who found him." The nurse looked at her carefully. Then she nodded. "Yes, The baby is here. He was very cold and dehydrated, but now he is stable. Can I see him? Zara asked softly. The nurse hesitated, then whispered, just for a few minutes. Follow me. Zara followed her through long white hallways. They entered a quiet room. In a small crib lay the baby, now sleeping peacefully, wrapped in warm blankets. Zara walked closer. Her heart felt heavy, but soft at the same time. The baby was so tiny, so innocent. He had no idea what had happened to him. He doesn't have a name, the nurse said. No parents have come forward. We checked with missing child reports. Nothing. Zara looked confused. Nothing. No one's looking for him. No, we don't even know who he belongs to. Zara thought of the man again. His nervous eyes. The lies he told. Something was very wrong. The nurse continued. The police are investigating. They're checking security cameras near the parking lot. They might find the man you described. Zara nodded but still felt uneasy. She stayed for a few more minutes, just watching the baby sleep. A strange feeling grew in her chest. She didn't know this child, but she already cared about him. Later that day, Zara went to the bakery where she worked. Her manager, Mr. Hanif, noticed she was quiet. You okay? He asked. Zara told him everything. The car, the baby, the man who ran. Mr. Hanif listened with wide eyes. That's terrible. But what you did was brave. I just couldn't walk away, Zara said. Something told me. I had to help. Mr. Hanif placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Some people close their eyes to the world. But you opened yours. The next few days were hard. Zara returned to the hospital whenever she could. Each time, the baby looked stronger. The nurses even began to smile when they saw her. They said the baby always calmed down when Zara entered the room. They even started calling the baby Ayan, just to give him a name. Still, no one came to claim him. No news, no parents, nothing. The mystery deepened. Then, on her fourth visit, Zara overheard something strange. Two nurses were whispering near the door. I heard someone tried to visit the baby last night, one said, but security stopped them. A man. He didn't leave his name. Zara's heart froze. She stepped closer. Did he say anything? What did he look like? He wore a black hoodie. Spoke very little. He left as soon as the guards asked for ID. Zara's thoughts spun wildly. It had to be the same man. But why was he trying to come back? What did he want with the baby? And why leave him alone in a car in the first place? She knew one thing now. This child's life was in danger, and she couldn't just be a visitor anymore. She had to do more. That night, Zara sat in her room with her laptop open. She searched news articles, missing child reports, and anything that could help. She posted online asking if anyone recognized the baby. No answers. But she didn't give up, because deep inside, she knew the truth was out there, and she was going to find it, no matter what. Zara woke up the next morning with a strange feeling in her heart. Something wasn't right. Even though the baby was safe now, the man who left him hadn't been caught, and he was coming back. Why? What was he hiding? She made a decision that morning. She wouldn't wait for answers. She would find them herself. Zara returned to the parking lot where she first saw the baby. It was quiet now, just another cold winter morning. But she remembered everything. The car, the sound of crying, the man in the hoodie. She walked around, looking at the nearby buildings. There were a few shops, a gas station, and a small cafe. Maybe one of them had a camera. She entered the cafe and politely asked the manager, "Sir, do you have any CCTV cameras outside?" The man raised an eyebrow. "Yes. Why?" She explained what had happened. At first, the man didn't believe her, but when she told him she had already spoken to the hospital and the police, he became serious. "I'll check the footage," he said. After 10 minutes, he called her over. There, he pointed at the screen. Zara leaned forward. Her heart raced. It was the man, clear as day, wearing a black hoodie, carrying the baby in a blanket. He looked around nervously, then walked away fast. Zara's hands shook. "Can I take a photo of the screen?" she asked. The manager nodded. She snapped a picture with her phone, thanked him, and left quickly. That night, Zara sat alone in her room. She stared at the photo, zoomed in on the man's face. His eyes looked scared, but not like a thief, more like someone running away from something. Why would someone leave a baby in a car? Unless they were trying to hide the baby. Her thoughts were interrupted by a message. It was from a girl named Hina, a reply to Zara's online post. "I saw your photo of the baby. He looks like my cousin's son. But my cousin passed away 2 months ago. Her husband disappeared with the baby. We thought both were gone forever." Zara froze. This was it. She quickly replied, "Can we talk? Please. I need to know everything." Within minutes, they were on a video call. Hina's eyes filled with tears when she saw the baby's picture again. "That's Ali, my cousin Sana's son. She died suddenly. After her funeral, her husband Faison took the baby and vanished. We tried to find him, but no one could. He deleted all his accounts." Zara was stunned. So the man wasn't a criminal. He was the baby's father. But why did he leave the child alone? Faison was never stable, Hina said. After Sana died, he broke down. He said the world was not safe for his son. That people were evil. He wanted to protect the baby by disappearing, but it looks like he couldn't handle it. Zara's heart hurt for both the man and the child. "But now the police are searching for him," she whispered. "He tried to visit the baby again." Hina nodded. "He won't stop. He loves the child. But he's not thinking straight. Please, let me talk to the police. Maybe I can help." Zara agreed. For the first time in days, she felt hope. The next day, Zara went to the hospital. Ali was awake and smiling. He reached out to her with tiny hands. She picked him up gently. "You're not alone anymore," she whispered. "We're going to find your family." As she sat with him, she noticed something strange. There was a folded paper tucked inside the baby's blanket. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. It was a letter, written in shaky handwriting. "If anything happens to me, please take care of him. I have no one left. His name is Ali. His mother was my whole world. I failed to protect her. Please don't let me fail again." Zara covered her mouth, tears running down her cheeks. This wasn't just a mystery anymore. This was a man drowning in grief, a man trying to save his son the only way he knew how. But now, the baby had someone else, someone who wouldn't run. Zara knew her role was bigger now. She had to help heal this broken family, or what was left of it. Zara held the letter tightly in her hand. Every word stayed in her mind. She couldn't forget the pain behind them. The father, Faison, wasn't a bad man. He was broken. And now he was hiding, alone, afraid, and still watching from the shadows. Zara looked at baby Ali. His soft eyes stared up at her, full of innocence. He didn't know what had happened to his family. He only knew warmth when she held him. But Zara couldn't give him what he truly needed. He needed his father, but not a broken one. He needed a father who would come back, face the world, and raise him with love. And now, Zara was going to make that happen. Zara met Hina at a small cafe the next day. Hina looked tired but hopeful. She had already spoken to the police. They now knew Faison was the baby's father. But that didn't mean he was safe. He was still missing. "We need to find him before the police do," Hina said. Zara nodded. "If they find him first, they might arrest him. But if we talk to him, maybe we can help him come back on his own." Hina took out her phone. "He deleted everything. But I remembered something." She opened an old message. There's one place I feel close to her, the lake, the bench under the old tree. Zora looked up. You think he's there? Hina nodded. He always took Sana there. It was her favorite place. Without wasting time, they left. The lake was quiet when they arrived. Cold wind brushed past their faces, and the trees stood still under the cloudy sky. Zora walked slowly, her eyes scanning the area. Then she saw him, sitting on an old wooden bench, staring at the water, holding a tiny photo in his hand. Faison. He looked thin, his face was covered with a rough beard, his clothes were dirty, and his eyes looked empty. But when Hina softly said his name, he turned, and he froze. Zara stepped forward, slowly, like she didn't want to scare him. Faison, she said gently, I have your son. Faison's lips trembled. His eyes widened. He's safe, he asked, almost in a whisper. Zara nodded. He's with me. He's healthy. He's waiting for you. Faison looked away, guilt covering his face. I'm not a good father, he said. I left him. I was scared. After Sana died, I lost everything. I didn't want the world to hurt him like it hurt her. Hina's voice broke. You didn't lose everything. You still have him. I failed him, Faison said, his voice cracking. I sat in that parking lot for hours, crying, holding him, not knowing what to do. Then I left him in the car and hid behind the wall. I thought, someone kind would find him. Zora's eyes filled with tears. And someone did. But Ali doesn't need a stranger. He needs you. He needs his father to be strong again. Faison broke down. He covered his face and cried. Years of pain, guilt, and grief poured out in one long cry. Zara and Hina didn't stop him. He needed this. After a long while, Faison looked up. I want to see him, he whispered. Zara reached into her bag and handed him the photo she took at the hospital. Ellie smiling, wrapped in a soft blanket. Faison touched the photo gently, like he was holding his baby again. I'll go with you, he said. I'll turn myself in if I have to. But I want to be with him. I'll do whatever it takes. Zara smiled for the first time that day. You're doing the right thing. They drove back to the hospital together. Faison walked into the building with shaking legs and a heavy heart, but when he saw Ali through the window, everything inside him melted. Ali saw him too, and smiled. Faison broke into tears. He walked into the room, knelt beside the crib, and gently touched his son's tiny fingers. I'm here now, he whispered, and I'm never leaving again. The doctor walked in. Zara explained everything. The police were informed, but now it wasn't a case of child abandonment. It was a father crying for help. A hospital gave them time. The police gave them a chance. Faison would get mental health help, and Ali would never be left alone again. Zara watched them quietly. A man once lost in grief, now holding his reason to live. She didn't say a word. Her heart was full. She had saved a baby. But more than that, she had saved a broken father's soul. Faison sat in the quiet hospital room, holding baby Ali close to his chest. Ali had fallen asleep. His tiny breaths were soft, and his small hand rested on Faison's shirt. For the first time in many days, Faison felt a strange kind of peace. But deep inside, the pain was still there. He had left his child in a locked car. No matter how many people told him they understood, Faison couldn't forget that moment. He kept seeing it in his mind. Ali crying, cold, alone, while he sat outside, too scared, too broken to hold on. Zara walked into the room with a soft smile. She sat beside him and gently placed a warm cup of tea on the table. You're doing well, she said. Faison looked up. I don't know. I feel like I failed him. Zara shook her head. You were hurt. You were grieving. But you didn't leave him forever. You stayed nearby. You hoped someone kind would help. And now you're here, holding him, loving him. That means everything. He looked at her, his eyes full of quiet tears. "Thank you. If you hadn't come, I don't know where we'd be." Zara smiled gently. "Ellie needed you. And I think you needed him too." Later that day, a police officer came to the hospital. Faison stood up, ready to face whatever was coming. But the officer wasn't angry. He sat down and listened to Faison's full story. How he lost his wife. How the world turned dark. How he tried to be strong, but broke under the weight. And how he stayed nearby, praying someone would help his child. The officer nodded slowly. "We can't ignore what happened," he said. "But we can understand it." Faison agreed to go through therapy and counseling. He also signed up for parenting classes and mental health support. He didn't run this time. He was ready to fix what was broken. Over the next few weeks, things began to change. Faison visited Ali every day at the hospital while the doctors monitored his health. Zara stayed in touch, always bringing warm food, new baby clothes, and smiles. Hannah helped Faison apply for temporary housing for single fathers. They all worked together, like a small, healing family. One evening, Faison held Ellie and whispered, "We're going home soon, little one. Just me and you. We'll make a new start." Ellie looked up and giggled. Faison laughed too. It was the first time he had laughed in months. A few days later, Faison received a call. He had been approved for a small apartment near the hospital. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean, warm, and safe. He walked through the empty rooms and smiled. "I'll fill these walls with love," he whispered. "I promise." Zara and Hina helped set up the place, painting the baby's room light blue, buying second-hand furniture, and filling the shelves with baby books. When Faison carried Ali into their new home, it was more than just a fresh start. It was a new life. One night, Faison stood by the window, holding Ali in his arms. The city lights glowed outside, and soft music played in the background. He looked at his son and said softly, "You saved me, Ali. I thought I had nothing left. But then you looked at me, and I knew I had everything." Tears ran down his cheeks, but this time they weren't just from pain. They were from hope, from healing, from love. Faison woke up early that morning to the sound of little Ailey making soft baby noises in his crib. The new apartment was quiet and peaceful. Sunlight came through the window and touched the warm wooden floor. Faison sat up slowly, rubbed his eyes, and looked at his son. Ali was staring at him with big, curious eyes. Then he smiled. That one smile gave Faison more strength than anything else in the world. He walked over, picked Ali up, and held him close. "Good morning, hero," he whispered. For the first time in a long while, Faison didn't feel broken. He felt alive. The days were still hard. Faison was learning how to take care of a baby all by himself. Changing diapers, making baby food, waking up in the middle of the night. It wasn't easy. But he didn't complain. Every time he felt tired or unsure, he reminded himself of what he almost lost. He had promised Ali he would never leave again. And he meant it. Zara often came by in the afternoons to check on them. She brought fresh food, and sometimes even helped rock Ali to sleep. "You're doing really well," she told Faison one day. He gave a small smile. "I'm trying. I still mess up sometimes." Zara looked at him gently. "It's okay to mess up. What matters is you're showing up." Those words stayed with him. One rainy afternoon, Faison took Ali for a walk in his stroller around the park near their apartment. People passed by, smiling at the little baby. Some even stopped to play with him. It was a small thing, but it made Faison feel like he belonged again. As he sat on the bench watching Ali wave his tiny hands at the trees, he thought about his late wife. "I hope you're watching," he said quietly. "I'm doing this for him, and for you." A soft breeze blew past his face, and for a moment it felt like she was there, right beside him. The next few weeks brought more change. Faison started a part-time job at a small bookshop nearby. The owner, Mr. Salim, was kind and allowed Faison to bring Ali when needed. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was enough for diapers, food, and bills. At night, after putting Ali to sleep, Faison would sit on the floor, read parenting books, and make notes. He was determined to be the best father he could be. One day, something unexpected happened. Zara arrived at his door, not with food, but with a letter. She handed it to him with a nervous smile. "You've been selected for a single parent support program. It includes free counseling, childcare help, and even a small monthly allowance." Faison was speechless. You applied for me." She nodded. "I didn't want to tell you unless it worked. But you deserve the help." Faison looked down at the letter. His hands trembled. Then he looked at Zara. "I don't know what to say." She smiled. "Say you'll accept it. Say you'll keep going." Faison smiled too. "I will." The next few weeks became smoother. Ali laughed more. Faison smiled more. The apartment started to feel like a home. They began to create their own little routines: morning cuddles, afternoon stroller walks, story time. At night, Faison even found himself humming old lullabies again. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was living. One night, as he tucked Ali into bed, Faison whispered, "You saved me, little one. I thought I was saving you that night in the hospital, but really, you saved me." Ali made a soft sound and reached for his father's finger. Faison smiled, tears quietly falling down his cheeks. This was what healing looked like. This was what love looked like. And this was what family looked like. It had been a peaceful few months since Faison started his new life with baby Ali. Every day brought a new challenge, but also new joy. Ali was now crawling across the floor, chasing his little toy car, giggling with excitement. Faison watched him with a proud smile, coffee in hand. Everything was finally getting better. But then, one afternoon, there was a knock on the door. A strong, loud knock. Faison looked at the clock. It was almost evening. Zara usually came in the morning. He wasn't expecting anyone. He stood up slowly, walked to the door, and opened it. A woman stood there. Her clothes were neat, her makeup perfect, and her eyes cold. A sharp purse hung from her shoulder. It was Ali's grandmother, his late wife's mother. Faison's heart dropped. They hadn't spoken since the funeral. She had blamed him. She said it was his fault her daughter died. She had even tried to take Ali from him once, but the court denied it because of her angry behavior. He had hoped she would stay away. But now, she was standing right in front of him. "I need to talk," she said, stepping in without waiting for an answer. Faison closed the door behind her, unsure what to say. She looked around the small but clean apartment, then spotted Ali playing on the floor. He stared at her with big eyes, curious but unsure. "I see he's grown," she said, almost softly. Faison didn't respond. Then she turned to him. "I want to see him more often," she said. "I miss him. He's my grandson." Faison took a deep breath. "You tried to take him away from me. You never even came to the hospital when he was sick." Her lips tightened. "I made mistakes. I was angry. I lost my daughter." Faison's voice cracked. "And I lost my wife." They stood in silence. Ali looked between them, sensing the tension. Then something unexpected happened. The woman knelt down, looked at Ali, and slowly opened her purse. She took out a small stuffed toy, a teddy bear with a red ribbon. "This was your mom's," she whispered, holding it out. "She used to sleep with it every night." Ali slowly crawled toward her and took the teddy bear. He stared at it, then gave a small smile. Faison watched quietly. His heart felt heavy. He didn't trust her, not yet, but maybe, just maybe, she was trying to change. Later that night, after she left, Faison sat by Ali's crib. The teddy bear was in his son's arms, and he was fast asleep. Faison thought about forgiveness, about second chances, He still didn't know if he could forgive her fully, but he knew one thing. He didn't want Allie to grow up surrounded by anger and hate. If she truly wanted to be a part of his life, she would have to earn it. Slowly, carefully, Faison would protect his son with everything he had, but he would also teach him love. Real love. The next morning, Zara came by as usual. Faison told her everything. She listened carefully, then nodded. "You're doing the right thing," she said. "You're putting Ellie first." Faison smiled. He looked at his tiny son crawling across the floor again. Ali turned back and laughed, reaching for his father. In that moment, Faison knew he had made it. Through grief, through fear, through nights of doubt and days of struggle, he had made it, not alone, but with love, with hope, and with the tiny hands that now held his finger. It was a cool evening. The sun was slowly setting, painting the sky in soft orange and pink colors. A gentle wind moved the curtains as Faison sat on the small balcony with baby Ali asleep in his arms. Ali's breathing was soft and steady, his tiny hand resting against Faison's chest. The teddy bear, his mother's childhood toy, lay on his lap, worn but loved. Faison looked out at the world in silence. For the first time in a long time, he felt peace. He thought about everything that had happened. Finding Ali in the freezing snow, the hospital nights, the fear of losing him, the woman who once walked away but returned to make things right, and the people who had stepped in to help when he had no one. Each memory brought a tear to his eye, not of sadness, but of strength. He had survived. Ali had survived. Together, they had created a new story, a better one. Faison slowly stood and walked inside. He placed Ali gently into his crib, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "I will never let anything happen to you again." He sat beside the crib for a moment, then pulled out an old notebook. It was his wife's. She had written dreams in it. Dreams about Ellie. Dreams about family trips, school days, birthday cakes, and bedtime stories. Faison flipped through the pages and stopped at one she had written just weeks before her passing. "If anything ever happens to me, I know Faison will be the best father in the world. Ali will grow up with love in his heart." Faison pressed the notebook to his chest and closed his eyes. He had failed many times, but not in love. The next morning, sunlight filled the room. Ali woke up, stretched, and giggled as soon as he saw his father. Faison picked him up and smiled. There was still a long road ahead. School, questions, and growing up without a mother. But Faison was ready. He had something stronger than fear now. He had purpose. He had love. And he had a little boy who believed the world was safe in his father's arms. As the camera zooms out from the window, the city moves on with its noise and speed. But inside that small apartment, a father and son begin their day with laughter and light. The final scene fades with soft music, and a message appears on screen. Sometimes family is built through pain, but it becomes unbreakable through love.